NASA celebrates LGBTQ+ Pride Month.
An idea born in unsettled times.
We are going forward. America, the United States, is first in space.
Becomes a feat of engineering excellence. The most complex machine ever built to bring humans to and from space.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
And eventually construct the next stop on the road to space exploration.
We are on a true spaceship now.
As 30 years of flight draw to a close, its legacy is one of unsurpassed achievement, tragedy overcome, and opportunity met. NASA Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle Endeavour is rolling out to Launch Pad 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
อะไรมันดูแบบว่ายังเบลอๆอยู่เลยและพ่อกับแม่เองก็ยังคงให้การวกวนอยู่แต่ว่ามีพลเมืองดีมาแจ้งข่าวนะคะบอกว่าเจอผู้ชายคนนึงอุ้มเด็กคล้ายน้องต่อขี่มอเตอร์ไซค์มุ่งหน้าไปยังนครปฐมนะคะเนี่ยคือจริงๆแล้วคดีนี้นักข่าวของเราทีมข่าวช่อง 8น้องเพลงณชาหนองพงก็ติดมานะคะหลายวันละรวมเวลาเนี่ย12 วันแล้วนะคะเพื่อตามหาน้องต่อค่ะหายตัวไปอย่างปริศนาเหลือเกินไม่พบวี่แววเลยคือเมื่อเช้า
electronic devices and that sort of thing. The workmanship that I see in this is astounding, and that points right at the people that do this. When you integrate all that together, it results in what I think has been a marvelous program with the space shuttle.
Well before any shuttle reaches the launch pad, however, a staggering amount of work is required. The parts, plans, and people necessary to make each launch span the entire nation. One single goal is the focus: the safety of the orbiter and her crew.
You've got all these people, all these folks that are in their 20s, some of them in their 30s, and they are, no kidding, in charge of some part of the space shuttle, some part of the space station, or some part of the plan. And every one of those people absolutely believes that they are the one that makes the difference on getting those astronauts back down to the ground alive.
At NASA's Mission Assembly Facility in New Orleans, production begins on the shuttle's external fuel tank. The last of 136 produced here since 1973. Each one 154 feet tall and 27.6 feet around, is capable of handling 535,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and oxygen, enough to fill 13,375 average household bathtubs. 3 versions of the external tank were created during the program in an effort to reduce the tank's overall weight and allow for heavier shuttle payloads. Around the same time, in Clearfield, Utah, technicians at ATK Launch Systems start work on the shuttle system's solid rocket motors, or boosters.
Fire.
Together, these SRBs produce nearly 6 million pounds of thrust, about 83% of the thrust needed to push the orbiter into space. The remaining 17% is furnished by the shuttle's 3 main engines, fueled by the external tank. Unlike the orange external tank that is used only once, the boosters detach themselves and parachute into the Atlantic Ocean. They are then retrieved, refurbished, and reused on later missions. The shuttle mission's crew is assigned.
Folks on there that are like my brothers and sisters. I mean, We really do get close after a year of training for a flight and having flown in space together. And there's a special bond that comes with that.
Right up until launch, a shuttle crew will train in a variety of critical regimens, some basic, others specific to their mission. Simulators, safety and contingency, science experiments, and underwater in the world's largest indoor pool. STS-134 astronauts floating in actual spacesuits trained to work during extravehicular activities, or EVAs. The Neutral Buoyancy Lab, or NBL, at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston is the best simulation of microgravity on Earth and ideal for practicing spacewalks.
One of the most amazing facilities that we work in is the NBL, the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, and the divers and the guys who help us run the robotic arm are all there to ensure that our spacewalks are flawless. Their efforts in that pool have helped us and made us able to have this program.
Every step of a spacewalk, every step of EVA is so critical, and even though we see it every day, that one little safety tether could be life or death.
For every hour that they spend in orbit, they'll spend 5 to 6 hours training for that same task. So we've built up from the suit engineers and suit technicians who help them get into the suit. Now we've got trainers who help them learn how to use the suit and learn how to understand the suit. And then we've got divers who support them while they're in the pool. The closer they get to actually flying in the suit, the team of people who help them tends to grow. Maybe not exponentially, but it's certainly getting bigger.
A 12-person crew has kept a week-long vigil, while the barge, carrying with ET, made the 900-mile trek from Louisiana to Florida's central east coast. The iconic orange external tank finally arrives at the Kennedy Space Center. 1 month later, the ET is mated to the solid rocket boosters to form the backbone of the stack. Now, all that's missing is the spacecraft itself. When an orbiter returns from a mission, processing for the next flight begins almost immediately. It's a task requiring no less than 650,000 hours of labor. This includes the removal of its 3 liquid fuel engines and their replacement by 3 from a previous mission. They've been refurbished, inspected, and tested at the Stennis Space Center. With most of its flight preparations complete, Endeavour is towed in what is called the rollover, a short roll over a quarter-mile distance on a 36-wheeled vehicle from the Orbiter Processing Facility, the OPF, to the VAB. Here it undergoes its flight configuration. The rollout. Looking now much like it will at liftoff, the space shuttle is carried to the launch pad atop the 6 million-pound crawler transporter at a blazing pace of less than a mile an hour. Not exactly warp speed.
At our peak, carrying full load, we get right around 38 feet per gallon.
Not too bad for an original 1965 hybrid vehicle with low miles. The 3.4-mile journey takes up to 6 hours. Just enough time to appreciate the route's picturesque surroundings. Kennedy Space Center is situated on a national wildlife refuge.